All right, friends, we're back and we're talking about a few things today, quite a few things. One of them is just the devil comet. Oh, just something with a pretty sinister name that Cyrus brought up to us when Cyrus Harding was on with us on Monday. And again, if you're new to the channel, welcome. I'm your brother Abraham. As always, we've done, let me just show you on screen here, a deep dive on something that's really huge, probably one of the biggest things of our generation. It's called the Aleph Eclipse 7-year cycle. It started in 2017. It ends in just a couple months from now, really, a few months from now, in April 8th, 2024. And there's a playlist on the channel, guys. Go check it out. Okay, there's 4 parts. I made it a 4-part playlist. I didn't realize when I first got Lorenzo Garayan, I didn't realize it'd be so long of an analysis, but the more we dug into it, the more we discovered. So go check out that whole 4-part playlist. This is not really tonight is not really a continuation of the same. It's just kind of exploring new ideas. One of them is this whole idea of a devil comet, which is something that Cyrus brought up to us when he was with us. And I wanted to just kind of show you what that looks like and kind of look at it a little bit more and kind of just, make sure that it's on our radar, basically. Because, when Cyrus was on, he mentioned so many things. It would go over your head if you're not careful. I just want to make sure that we're slowing down and we're paying attention to all the signs that God is giving us, because what I'm showing you on screen, I took a screenshot. We're gonna go over to Stellarium in just a moment and actually look at the astronomy and look at what God's showing us in the constellations, his signs. Genesis 1:14. These are his signs that determine the times and seasons and give us warnings and give us signals from heaven that only the wise can really interpret and understand. Anyone with the Holy Spirit, you call upon the name of Jesus, you can understand these things. It takes time, it takes diligence, but they're meant to be understood. They're not meant to be cryptic, weird things. And what he's showing us, this screenshot right here, is from April 8th, 2024. Okay, so into the future, we can do that because we can kind of project using the kind of predictable patterns, mathematics, and so forth that go into the signs of the heavens. So into the future, this is what it's going to look like from New Madrid. Actually, I picked the location New Madrid for this little screenshot, and so the eclipse is happening right there, and you can see that there's a comet there called the Devil Comet or Pons-Brooks. And so we're going to take a look at that in a moment here, guys. Thank you for joining. Greetings to all of you guys. Appreciate you. Arakel, hopefully I said your name right. Stacy, I see a bunch of you guys here in the chat. Appreciate you guys. And yes, I am a little behind today because of the analysis that goes into the Devil Comet, just because I couldn't find it. My goodness, it took me forever. Key verse of the day tonight, guys. Key verse: no one, when he has lit a lamp, covers it with the vessel or puts it under a bed, but sets it on the lampstand, that those who enter may see the light. For nothing is secret that will not be revealed, nor anything hidden that will not be known and come to light. Therefore, take heed how you hear. For whoever has, to him more will be given, and whoever does not have, even what he seems to have will be taken from him. You guys know I like to start off with some key verses. I haven't done that actually for a few lives now, but this really is the key verse right here. Pay attention to some of the things that I'm talking about tonight. This is also for me, okay? I'm just as much a student, as many of you are. I'm a student as well, constantly learning, constantly hearing, and we have to take heed to how we hear, because we will be given more, and that is always a good thing. More responsibility, more blessing, more abundance. Why would we not want that? But we have to make sure that we're listening to the whispers of the Holy Spirit and paying attention to some of the signs that God is giving us, like what this is being dubbed the Devil Comet or Pons-Brooks. We'll take a look at that in a moment. Real quick, just some news for today. This is some hot headlines that were hitting my desk today earlier from Zero Hedge. More Israeli troops to go into action soon at the Lebanon border. That's from the defense minister. And, basically his name is Yoav Gallant, issued the words on Monday at a time of daily tit-for-tat cross-border fire with Hezbollah. The conflict has thus far been seen as contained, yet things across the border region are looking anything but contained. Gallant said they will very soon go into action, so the forces in the north are reinforced. And so here's, again, I'm not going to read this whole article. It says, oh yeah, over 80,000 Israelis are displaced, by the way. I'm not going to go into this article more, I just want to show you kind of the ridiculousness of that article. And then you have another one from Zero Hedge. I couldn't find another source of this, but it's pretty well documented because you have The Guardian, you have a few other sources that are talking similar things. But Hamas is already returning to northern Gaza, reasserting control in some areas. So how ridiculous is that? That Israeli troops are going to action in the north against Hezbollah when they couldn't even do anything against Hamas. This is a nightmare scenario for the Israelis. I've been talking about this for a while, guys, but how much longer until Israel is forced to use what's called the Samson option? I've talked about this quite a few times. I really think it is the Israelis that are going to start World War III nuclear. They're going to be the first ones to use nukes. I've mentioned this before. The more I start to see just how insane this behavior is, like I'm just showing you this two contradictory things. They can't even handle Gaza, but they want to send troops to fight Hezbollah. The more I see this reckless insanity, the more I'm pretty convinced. I don't know about you guys, but I'm pretty convinced that I believe the Samson option is going to be used by Israel. I think they're going to be the first ones to use nukes in World War III coming up pretty soon. Obviously, you can make the case we're already in World War III. It's just that, when it goes nuclear, I believe Israel's going to be the first one to pull the trigger out of necessity. That's just my opinion. We'll see how it all plays out. Definitely something to keep an eye on. Here at the home front, though, you guys know that there is a manufactured crisis of civil war, and people all of a sudden care about the border. And you guys know that the federal government made some threats, and they shut down LNG, natural gas for Texas. And all of a sudden, we're starting to see pipeline explosions. This is from the Oklahoman. Pipeline explosion sends flames shooting 500 feet high near the Oklahoma Panhandle. How sus is that? Watch, let me show you the footage. You can see it on screen, can't you? I don't know. It was playing it just a moment ago, but here's some photograph. You can see these massive flames 500 feet in the air. And we saw, again, it's an abusive relationship, guys. This is a very abusive. This is like a narcissistic, abusive victim, like domestic violence case where the federal government, if you ever go against the federal government, they're going to reinforce their dominance over the victim and over over their base. They're basically, the federal government is out of control and basically a narcissistic, putting all the states in a domestic abuse situation where they're just asserting their dominance. This is sabotage, in my opinion, from the top, all the way from the top. I mean, it's the same thing you saw with, oh my goodness, with what was the name of that pipeline going into Europe? What do they call that again? Do you remember? I can't remember off the top of my head. I haven't looked at it for a while, and I didn't even cover it either. But you have pipelines being, anyway, I'm not even going to get into it, guys. Look, it's just, you have all these very strange events taking place because people all of a sudden care about the border. It's a manufactured crisis to get people on both sides really charged up and ticked off. And there's just some kind of a flashpoint waiting to happen. I'm not super well versed on all that, so I'm just going to stop right there. But I'm just letting you know, something doesn't smell right. Definitely has not smelled right ever since we started hearing rumors of civil war in the United States. And now we're seeing sabotage on key infrastructure having to do with, well, pipelines, natural gas, and all that kind of stuff. So let's talk about the Comet now. Those are kind of just some of the main headlines I wanted to touch. Yeah, Nord Stream. Thank you. I forgot. I never really covered Nord Stream, and yeah, they admitted that they blew it up. I mean, that's mainstream news. They say, yeah, we blew up Nord Stream to basically just antagonize, piss off the Russians, and cut off whatever money that they were making from it and everything else. All right, Comet Pons-Brooks just had an outburst. Here's how to find it. So this was actually from July 25th, 2023. So this is an older article from astronomy.com. And basically, this is the reason why I have this article up, even though it's old, is because they're saying the comet will reappear during totality in April 2024. And here's how you find it, okay? The comet will hang northeast of the eclipsed sun, visible with binoculars or perhaps even the naked eye during totality. And again, they're saying, oh, you're going to have to wait till next year. Well, that's about to happen very soon. So let's go take a look at what that looks like. Let me just read you this little article here. The Devil Comet is what it's called. It's headed our way. Again, this is from astronomy. Sure, it looks big and weird, but Comet Pons-Brooks is no danger. Actually has skywatchers very excited. So this is from a secular, just your average Joe point of view. Oh, it's just a really cool phenomenon. It has pretty colors. It's so beautiful. But you guys know that, when we open up our scriptures, we have a lot more to look at when it comes to these types of phenomena. And yeah, has little beams of light sticking out of it that make it look like it has horns. And so they call it the devil comet. It looks like a goat. This is something that Cyrus talked about when he was on live with us on Monday. But rather than just kind of look at the secular point of view and all that, this is kind of why I was late. I took the time to find it for us. So again, just so we're crystal clear on this, it's called the 12P Pons-Brooks. 12P Pons-Brooks. It's a periodic comet with an orbital period of 71 years. It fits the classical definition of a Halley-type comet. A lot of people compare this to the Halley's Comet, with an orbital period between 20 and 200 years. It is also one of the brightest known periodic comets, reaching an absolute visual magnitude of approximately 5 in its approach to perihelion. A lot of this terminology is a little over my pay grade. So let's just go take a look at it. Just be aware, though, that the appearance of this, it was discovered in 1812, which, as I've pointed out, that's a very suspicious year. I don't know. That's just kind of coincidence in this context. But just remember that, 1812, 1811, you have that New Madrid fault line activation. So maybe it isn't coincidence that's when it was discovered by Jean-Louis Pons independently. This comet was later found by Alexis Bouvard on August 2nd of the same year. Okay, yeah, so look, guys, the comet was spotted with the naked eye on 13 August, and by the end of the month, so one of the last times, I'm not going to say the last, but one of the most recent times in history was around the New Madrid fault. I didn't read that, actually. I'm reading it with you guys here live and kind of discovering this right now. I was just more interested in finding it, which is what took me so long. Let me show you on screen. What I'm showing you here, it just took me time, guys, because you type in, I know there's different programs out there. I'm using Stellarium Web. There's an app. There's software you can actually download. I'm just using the browser version. And when you type in 12 Pons-Brooks or Pons-Brooks or Brooks or Pons, you can't, it doesn't pop up. It doesn't auto-populate it. So I had to dig it up. And so if you look at the date stamp here, this is April 8th, 2024. And this is kind of like past midnight, and I paused it. Like if I play it, it'll continue to tick and then we might lose it. But the Pons-Brooks is right here. And you can see it's just right next to the sun and moon that are basically in an eclipse. You can see that, right? Let me click out of that. But yeah, so, oh no, wait, what am I talking about? This is not midnight. This is, sorry guys, it's been a long day. So if I just go back an hour, it's been a long day, you can tell. I've been working hard around here. I literally cleaned my chimney and my face was totally black with soot all over my face. Anyway, dusty and everything else too. So this is the eclipse, right? So this is high noon, not midnight. My goodness. And if I just go forward a few minutes, you can see, okay, this is the moment that bam, it gets really dark. Oh, well, let me see. Yeah, I went back a whole hour. I think that was my problem because it was 12:58. That's the time I had on the clock, right? And it's being really slow. Like when I click it, it just wants to lag. Okay, well, we tried. Oh, well, it wants me to do a hard click. There. See how it eclipses right there, like at 12:58? And again, I'm in New Madrid. You can see that on the bottom left of the screen. I'm in New Madrid, Missouri, which is what the fault line is named after. And so we can see, okay, Pons-Brooks is going to be visible pretty much to looks like the west from my point of view, but let me just zoom out and let me get some cardinal direction. So it's going to be like east. So if you're facing, let me face north. You'll be able to see it basically. If you're in the path of the eclipse, it'll be able to be visible at high noon is what I'm trying to convey. But if I'm north here, you look straight up in the sky because it's high noon basically. Yeah, it's going to be right there. Pretty much east of the sun and moon right there. And so it should be visible, like they said, with the naked eye, with binoculars for sure. So why is this significant? Remember, Cyrus Harding told us this comet is you got to follow the path of it because eventually he said it's going to enter Aquarius, which is the water bearer. You see that on my screen here on the right. You see Aquarius. Eventually it's going to enter the water bearer. And he said this is a sign of not good stuff. I want to break that down a little bit more because I feel like if it went over my head, I know it probably went over your head. Maybe. I know like you guys, a lot of you guys are, you got the astronomy stuff down pretty good. I know it's a lost art in our society. Like, but guys, this used to be the original Twitter, X, you know what I mean? Like, this used to be the original news. Like, there was no nightly news. Our ancestors would look at the sky and they would see the constellations, and they would understand the times that they lived in, and they would understand messages that were heavenly, celestial, from God, because these are his signs. Genesis chapter 1 verse 14. Again, the reason I stress that a lot is because I get blamed, I get smeared for being an astrologist. No, I do not practice astrology, soothsaying, zodiac, sign seeking, and paganism. I'm a follower of the Most High God, and all these symbols have a bunch of Hebrew lore, and a lot of them have to do with Christ, actually. But again, it's a lost art in our society to be able to look at these from a Hebrew biblical lens, like the wise men did, that went to Yeshua and gave him the gifts of frankincense, myrrh, and gold. This is a lost art, but it's for the wise. Okay, so what Cyrus was breaking down, I kind of want to touch on it, is the fact that this comet has a lot of significance for us. So here's what I'll say. Have you guys checked out Kingdom Secrets Academy? Because actually, if you just make an account, which is free, you can just create an account right here. So there's no reason you shouldn't. You can go to, here's what it looks like once you make your account. We're going to talk about this tonight, which is the chemical languages right here. We're going to look at this together. But what I want you to look at is the fact that there's a library section, and there's a Project Gutenberg. You click on that, and literally the first book that comes up is right here. It's called The Witness of the Stars by E.W. Bullinger. You can hit download and get it for free. The reason why there's a whole Project Gutenberg tab is because books that were published before a certain date, I forget when, they're copyright free. So this is like some of the coolest stuff on the internet that you can get for free. I can put it here for free and not have to pay royalties or anything to anybody because they're copyright free. So everybody should have this in their library. That's why it's in the Academy library. The Witness of the Stars. Let's go take a look at oh, do I already have it open? If I already have it open, I'll look at it with you. Okay, the Aquarius, the water bearer. Cyrus said that the comet, that Pons-Brooks, is going to go through the sign of the Aquarius, the water bearer, and it tells you, E.W. Bullinger tells you what this looks like. Okay, this has to do with Christ. That has to do with the pouring out of the Holy Spirit. It has to do with, there's a lot of symbolism that has to do with Jesus, with Yeshua, but there's symbolism that also can be interpreted to mean not so good things. The pouring out, really what it is the pouring out of water. But what can water represent? Well, we know, right? Because we talked about this on the last live. Again, I want to pull this up real quick. If you guys look at the Hebrew language, it's not a language like we normally would think of, just letters that make words, but there's three-dimensional analysis inside of the language because it's pictorial. So Aleph also means first, ox, or strength. It doesn't just have a silent it's not just a letter, it's kind of a filler letter, and then there can be vowel points underneath it. A better example probably would be boy. It's not just b as in boy as in bet or bait, but it also has a pictorial meaning, tent, house. So when you look at mem, which is what Cyrus was telling us, hey, mem could mean water or mighty, the letter M in Hebrew, which is mem. Here's where it gets fascinating. You look at the word mayim, and we look at its Strong's H4325. Mayim is the word that means water. It also starts with the letter M. That's why, it's attributed to water, the M, mem, the letter itself. Let me just share this with you as well, because you look at the different ways that the pictorial Hebrew is understood over many, many centuries now, and how it's been used, how God has used it, how the Holy Spirit has preserved the Bible for us, and different ways of looking at the language of the Hebrew, the celestial signs. It all ties together really well. This is just from a blog called In the Secret Place, but because I don't have anything written up, so I just borrowed it from them. But they say the pictographic symbols for the word shalom, right? Shin, lamed, vav, and mem read destroy the authority that binds to chaos. So when you say Shabbat Shalom, it's like Sabbath of destroying the authority that binds to chaos, because that's what Shin, Lamed, Vav, and Mem, those Hebrew letters, can mean. Because the word, or the letter, Mem, can also mean chaos. So water, pouring out of water, can also mean the pouring out of chaos, which is, again, why this is a pretty big deal. Okay, this is why we're looking at this tonight. With a little bit of a finer tooth comb, if I can find it, I want to pull up Stellarium again. I just don't know where it went on my computer. Okay, here we go. The Pons-Brooks. because eventually what Cyrus was saying is, hey, this is going to pass through. Let's just fast forward in time. I don't know if I'll be able to. Let me see. Because it is tricky to, oh goodness, because now it's like, where did it go? I'm not really good at this stuff, guys. It's software I'm not the best at. But okay, here's Pons-Brooks. Eventually, it's going to go through the water barrier, but I think it would take me too much time to find it the way he described it. But I'll take Cyrus's word for it for now, because I don't know why he would not be accurate on that, because he's been doing this forever. In fact, let me see. If we go to March, no, it'd have to be past. It'd be like May, wouldn't it? There's a point where it will cross through the water barrier. It looks like here it's in the head of a snake. Needless to say, guys, we got to watch out, because Cyrus is saying, hey, and again, I have to revert back to him because I'm not the best when it comes to astronomy, but certainly you can learn a lot from E.W. Bollinger, and you can kind of track these things too, which I'm learning to do myself. And he's saying, hey, watch out, because once it passes through there, I believe he said, what, April 15th? I think he said April 15th. April 21st is a meteor shower. There's a lot of stuff happening in the spring and summer, and we can expect chaos because of that comet passing through very specific constellations, one of which is Aquarius. I'll leave it at that. Okay, chaos, water can symbolize chaos, and I think it would take me it already took me a really long time just to find the comet, let alone try to plot it in the constellation as it makes its trajectory. I'm just not the best at this stuff, guys, so that's why I don't cover too much astronomy stuff, and I bring in the experts to cover it with us. But as you know, we've covered a lot here on the channel. This is just one of those big ones. It's like, okay, the secularists and the just, your everyday Joe Schmo, average Joe is telling us, hey man, nothing to worry about, nothing to see here. It's just beautiful. And the biblical astronomers are saying, hey, that thing's passing through some constellations. It's giving us a message. And so I'm calling it the devil comet warning. It's the comet Pons-Brooks that's telling us, hey, chaos is imminent. And that lines up with everything we've been talking about here in the channel, right? We've been talking about all kinds of different things. And that, again, go check out the playlist here. You guys can check out the Aleph Tav playlist and get more details on that, all right? One thing I want to cover also today is, remember we talked about Cascadia, that fault line? And this is this is an article from last year. So literally almost a year ago to the time that we really need to be paying attention to the Cascadia fault line, the subduction zone of Cascadia over there in Oregon off the coast of the Pacific Northwest. Scientists find weird holes on the ocean floor spewing ancient fluids like a fire hose. Guys, a year ago, they were reporting on livescience.com that there is some sketchy activity going on over there in Cascadia. How crazy is that? And again, this is something that someone sent me via email. Thank you so much. I forgot who it was. This is amazing that the Aleph Tav eclipses have already happened. And now I told you, hey, we got to be looking for these 3 fault lines, the Balcones, the New Madrid fault line, and the Cascadia subduction zone. And yeah, there's actually some strange activity happening here. Ancient fluids and gases spewing out like a fire hose over there. I just wanted to point your attention to that. This could lead to what's called the Three Sisters in Oregon becoming activated. Remember, another thing that our brother Cyrus told us about biblical astronomy, guys, we could be seeing the 3 different volcanic mountains over there in Oregon. They're close to the Cascade Volcanic Arc. I forget the name of the 3. I know one of them is Mount St. Helens. They could be activated. They could be activated in this region. Okay, I believe one of them is at Mount St. Helens. I can't remember off the top of my head. I want to say it is Mount St. Helens, but it might be 3 other ones that but three sisters. There's what people don't realize is there is a lot of volcanic activity. Cyrus told us expect more volcanic activity going into 2024, seismic activity, fault line activity. And another thing I wanted to just talk about as we kind of wrapped up this whole discussion about the New Madrid and everything, this is from the Federal Reserve Bank of Minneapolis, which is very interesting that this is kind of coming from a more governmental source, but a history of central banking in the United States. And basically, if you read through this article, minneapolisfed.org, you can understand that there was actually the first bank of the United States actually closed its doors in 1811. So there was actually economic upheaval that preceded the War of 1812, which again, there was the New Madrid fault line activation. And I forgot to mention the fact that, yeah, the first Bank of the United States was kind of labeled a Ponzi, and it closed its doors, and there was economic issues going into that. Another thing I forgot to mention was the fact that Illinois, remember Little Egypt? Remember Cairo? Remember we talked about genocide and child sacrifice and all that kind of stuff? Illinois is seen as one of the most progressive states in the United States in regard to LGBT rights. It was actually the first state, guys. Listen, same-sex sexual activity has been legal since 1962 after Illinois became the first state to repeal its sodomy laws. That's pretty significant going into this cycle of April. Does it make sense why Little Egypt, right? Little Egypt is right in the crosshairs of God's sign, that warning. Now it's starting to make a little bit more sense. I think we're starting to get a little clearer of a picture. A little bit clear of a picture going into this. Another thing I wanted to mention with regards to the cycles and everything we're talking about, there's a 200-year cicada cycle that's really strange. It's not common, okay? 200 years is not common. But there's 2 cicada broods to co-emerge for the first time. And they say about 221 years. Cicadas, they're just little leaf-eating critters. They could be a plague. It could be, it's symbolic, in my opinion, of locusts in the Bible. This could be God's metaphor of letting us know, hey, I'm sending those locust armies of men your way. This is just a little metaphorical tap on the shoulder to let you know that I haven't forgotten about what I wrote in Joel chapter 2. I have not forgotten about what I wrote about in the book of Revelation chapter 9. And so 2 specific broods of droning cicadas are expected to emerge from the ground simultaneously later this year, marking the first time in over 200 years that they've done so. The last time broods, they give you the numbers, co-emerged, I believe that's what, 19. I'm not very good with Roman numerals. 19 and 13. Yeah. Thomas Jefferson was president, and the Louisiana Purchase was being finalized. I already talked about what cicadas are in the Telegram. Go check out the Telegram. There's a link down below if you want to join that. And then here, let's take a look at what it looks like on a map, though. This is where they're actually going to emerge. And when you look at this, it should send chills down your spine, because it did with me when I first looked at it. The affected states are right along the New Madrid fault line, and definitely the seismic zone and the impact areas of the New Madrid. That's where, and especially you go up to you go to New York. It looks like a lot of the eastern states. The eclipse passes through these areas as well, the 2024. So not only is it the New Madrid, Little Egypt, and all these central areas of the Midwest, and all these areas right here of the New Madrid, but even the East Coast, where the solar eclipse of April 8th, 2024 is going to appear, also is where the cicadas are coming. So I just thought it's something that I would mention. Someone sent this to me via email, and I was like, I got to look into this. It's just another one of those beyond coincidence type of things. Another thing I want to mention real quick is we have to start thinking about this. I don't have a clear solution path. I don't have a clear path forward on this one yet. 1,260 days. Remember, there's a prophecy in the Bible that has to do with the fact that the saints will be delivered into the Antichrist's hands for time times half a time. We understand it to be 3.5 years, 42 months, approximately 1,260 days. And so when does that start? Well, if April 8th happens to be really doomsday and the Great Tribulation starts on April 8th, I don't know. But let's just say if, well, then you can expect September 20th, 2027 to be the end. So keep your eyes open for the interpretation of the Great Tribulation, or not necessarily the entire Great Tribulation is going to be 1,260 days, but it says that the saints are going to be delivered into the hands of the beast system for time times half a time. We're looking for a fulfillment of this. Again, this is Revelation chapter 13, verse 5, 42 months for the beast to be given authority. A woman is going to flee into the wilderness. These are the set apart, the ones that are protected, 1,260 days. The whole entire world goes into tribulation, but there's a certain woman that is spared, and I believe that's the Church of Philadelphia. You're not going to see the hour of trial. It's going to come upon the whole world. And then later we see the 2 witnesses. They're going to be prophesying for 1,260 days. So there's a 1,260 day prophecy in here somewhere. Keep your eyes on when this might commence. I don't know. I just want to put it out there that if something really big does happen on April 8th, it could be the beginning of the Great Tribulation right then. Don't forget to start counting somewhere. We don't know yet, but we're going to start counting one of these days, and you make sure to add 1,260 to when the Antichrist shows up, starts doing his thing, and Great Tribulation is happening. We got to add those days, guys. So that's all I have for tonight. This is going to be a shorter live tonight. Appreciate you guys being here. I don't know if you guys have anything for me in the chat. Something wicked this way comes. I agree, pizzazz. Yeah, this is, yep. Okay, this is interesting. Diane says, a few 17 years cicada cycle in New Jersey carpeted everything. It was in our hair, flying in our faces. It was awful. It was a plague for sure. Yeah. When I lived in New Orleans, there were cicadas that would hang out in the trees and they'd hiss. They actually hissed. Remember that? Sorry, I'm just talking to my wife, but they like hissed, and it's like they're kind of freaky and they're weird, honestly. They kind of freak me out. But yeah, appreciate you, Diane. Appreciate you guys being here. Guys, yeah, like I always keep saying, just let's fall on our faces and worship the Most High God. That's what this is all for, is for us to draw near to Him. The window of opportunity really is closing for the nation, and the nation, I mean, I see it as if it already has happened. God is removing His hand of protection from the Western countries because it's part of prophecy. So just get in. There's still time, not a whole lot left, but get it. If you're on the fence about God, and just you can pray as simple a prayer as, God, if you're real, please show me. I want to know what Abraham is talking about. I want to know who you are. And you pray something like that, as simple as that, and sincere, humble from your heart. That's all it takes. That's where it starts, right there. And yeah, you can choose to reject Him after the fact, and a lot of people sadly do. But you're gonna know if you pray a prayer that's very sincere and very honest, it not just not caring anymore, not holding back. God, if you're real, please talk to me, show me, give me a sign, even. But I don't need a sign. I just something, and he'll get your attention the way that only He can. Okay, so again, God bless you guys. God bless everyone. Yep. Appreciate you guys being here. I know this was a little shorter of a live stream. Appreciate you guys, and just keep hanging in there, paying attention to the signs. Appreciate all the emails that you guys have sent my way. It's really given me a lot to think about lately. So again, I just can't thank you guys enough, and I'll talk to you guys soon. Okay, take care, shalom, and be blessed.
So here I am, broken open, emptied of myself, of my regrets. You said you'd soon return.